Well, let's see. Today is still June the 1st. I had a question up there. Where'd that thing go? I'm still figuring this out. Let's see. Got looks like two people are there. Let's see. Well, tonight I'm going to talk about, how I went from 0 to 25 rentals in 4 years exactly. It's my first time doing this, so, you know, I'm still learning. So, anyway, let's see. There we go. Dividend Dave, what is the rental turnover and vacancy rate that you've experienced while investing in Gary? And hey, George. All right. All right, I'll get going in just a couple minutes here. We're still, what is it now? 6:58. So technically, I'm 2 minutes early. I figured I'd tune in early, see if I'm set up okay. Looks like I'm positioned correctly. So anyway, thanks for being here, George. Thanks for being here, Dividend Dave. And don't worry about that, Dave. I'm going to cover real quick in a nutshell. I'm going to cover how I went from 0 to 25 rentals in 4 years. So, something like this. I've watched other live videos from other people, and I know sometimes they count down until the actual starting time. And my Fitbit here says it's 6:59, and I'm on Eastern Standard Time. And there's two of you here, as far as I can tell. So welcome. And Dave, no worries. I appreciate you being here and asking questions. If I forget to get back to your question, Dave, don't forget to remind me because I'm gonna get going here. Oh, in about a minute or so, I guess. So hopefully y'all are doing well. Hopefully I don't know where you're at in the world. So hopefully you've had your dinner. I had a quick dinner a little bit ago, and we had a Paul Newman's pizza. It was a thin crust pizza, supreme. So not that you need to know that. And I got a couple of ice water in here. I got to drink also. So anyway, let's see. Oh, cool, cool. That's right. You told me you're on the West Coast, I think, or somebody told me they're on the West Coast. So, Bellingham, Washington. Welcome. I'm in Southwest Florida. And George, I see you and I email quite a bit. Oh, am I remembering right, George? George, let me think. New York State? Is that where you're at, New York State? Let me know if you think of it. It'll pop up. I think I'll see it if it shows my phone. All right. I guess it's close enough to 7. I will get started here. Let me take a sip real quick. All right, so I do. Oh, welcome everyone. There's 4 of you here right now. So welcome. I am Mazske Finance. I'm coming to you live right now from South Florida. It's been a hot day today. It's been a busy day. My neighbor was having a palm tree trimmed up and coconuts cut down. And oh, good, cool, Dave. Moving to North Carolina soon. Yep, you'll be getting close to the Florida sunshine. Got to come down and visit me sometime, or I'll visit you. But anyway, yeah, the gentleman cutting coconuts next door, real nice. El habla español, yo hablo español también un poquito. So anyway, he gave some coconuts to us. So we have some fresh coconuts that we will cut up, and if they got any water inside, we will drink the yep, sounds good, Dave. We'll drink the coconut water, and we love the coconut meat. Fresh coconuts are one of the highlights of living here. If you can get them in a supermarket, you don't know how old they are. But anyway, I digress. Let me cover real quick. 0 to 25 rentals in 4 years. How did I do it? If you've watched my channel long at all, you've heard me mention I went from 0 to 25 rentals in 4 years. I never made a lot of money. I was a blue collar worker all my life. I worked a bunch of jobs as teenagers. I cut grass, I mucked stalls, I worked on horse farms, and I worked landscaping for 3 years. I joined the Navy when I was 19. I was an electronics technician. Thanks, George. I thought you were in New York. And then joined the Navy, stationed different places. I spent a year up in Great Lakes, Illinois. Went to Denver, Colorado for 4 months for school. Went to the country of Panama for 2.5 years. Went to Puerto Rico for 3 years. Went TAD to Norfolk for 4 months, Norfolk, Virginia, for a school. Went back to Puerto Rico. Oldest son was born. Got my bachelor's degree. Went up to the state of Maine for 2.5 years. Got out of the Navy, left active duty. Went to Virginia for 23 years. I became a police officer. When I first got out, I said, I majored in business. I want to make the big bucks. I worked in business. I managed a company. I made decent money. Did it for about a year, if that. Got tired of 60-hour weeks. And then became a police officer where I topped out after near 20 years of being a cop at $52,000 a year. Okay, my wife in the beginning was a stay-at-home mom. She worked part-time at a YMCA childcare. And Adam, what part of Indiana are you in? Because I have investment property in Indiana. And then I invested in stocks. I started buying mutual funds in 1990, started buying individual stocks in 1999. 1999, my stock brokerage account, year 2000, 2001 was $16,000. Dot-com crash got cut in half to roughly $8,000. I kept investing in stocks until I bought my first rental property in January of 2017. So real quick, in a few minutes here, January 2017, cool. Most of my investment properties is right in Gary, that area, Lake Station. Hobart is around there, et cetera, et cetera. Chicago got some there too. So, but real quick, I'll summarize this and get to the questions. Bought my first rental property in January 2017. Did not know what I was doing. Did not watch YouTube. Did not read a single book. Got a real estate agent who had rentals. She helped me out. I put 25% down because I figured that's a better deal. Put more money down. Knowing what I know now, I should have put 20% down, but I put 25% down. Had a fiasco with my first tenant and had to evict her. It stressed me out. Actually had to go to the doctor and have a procedure done because stress kills. Do not get stressed out. Tranquilo, as Troy Eckert says from Eckert Land and Acquisition. Tranquilo, mis amigos. Stay calm. Do not let real estate or investing stress you out. All right, but I did get a good tenant in December of 2017. I bought my second house. May of 2018, I bought my triplex, and I retired April 1st of 2018. So May of 2018, I bought my triplex. So I had 5 units by that time, and by that time I had found bigger pockets, and I decided that I need to go out of state. Down payments, putting 20% down on a house that's $100,000, that was 20 grand. I retired April 1st. I didn't have as much money. I couldn't afford to put $20,000 down. And when I bought my first house, I used a HELOC for the majority of the down payment. Not all of the down payment, but I used it. My personal house was paid off, so I used a HELOC to help me get my very first house. And I think I used the HELOC again. Cool, Larry. That's good property. Triplex or a quad is good. And I then used the HELOC just a little bit, I think, for my second house. My triplex that I got in May of 2018, I had a 457 plan for my job, and I cashed that 457 plan out, paid the tax on it, federal and state, and that was basically my down payment. So by that time I realized I need to find cheaper property, a cheaper market. Bigger Pocket says you can buy out of state. I got David Green's book, Buy Real Estate Out of State, where it's up there somewhere. If you want to buy out of state and you haven't done it, I recommend you read that book. David Green, it's on Bigger Pockets or it's on Amazon. And it's about buying real estate out of state. So I bought a house down in Birmingham, Alabama. I still have that house. I may sell it in the next year or so, but I still have that house. Then I bought a second house down in Birmingham, Alabama. Remember I used a HELOC for my first house. I used the HELOC along the way. I think I used my HELOC to buy that, help me a little bit with that house in Birmingham, the first house. The second Birmingham house, I got the idea from Bigger Pockets of doing the BRRRR strategy, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And I did that in Birmingham also. I bought a house for $24,000. Did a rehab for $22,000, so $46,000 all in. It appraised for $77,000, and I did a cashback refinance for $51,500. And to answer your question, Dion, remind me about it, but only in my first houses did I use a lender where I live. And I saw that book title there. Dave, I think got it right, but it disappeared on me already. And Dion, remind me, how do I get my comments to show back up? So let me keep going real quick. And I did that cashback refinance. It was a successful BRRRR. But as I'll tell you towards later, that house in Birmingham, the BRRRR strategy, I've had bad luck with it. One tenant to another tenant, property manager bad. I fired one property manager. 2 tenants had to be evicted. I have various months I did not get rent. That was a beautiful house. My friend Will, who's working right now, I don't know if he's here yet or not, but he's working tonight. He's been to that house. It was a nice house. Even when, after 3 or 4 years of owning it, when that tenant moved out, then, thanks, Dion. I still had to spend roughly $16,000 to rehab the house again. And I just sold the house last month. So that house is gone. I'm glad it's gone. So I have one house left in Birmingham. But around that time, I had contacted Michael Zuber, and I know I'm getting long-winded here. Michael Zuber, and asked him. I bounced a turnkey operator off of him. So I had by this time 7 units. Thought about going turnkey for the first time, and Zuber suggested I use one called the Olson Group up in Gary, Indiana. Put me in contact with Tom Olson. I like Tom. We talked on the phone. I talked to Jared, his right-hand man. I liked them. I then bought one house, two house. I bought like one house in a self-directed IRA because I found out about self-directed IRAs also. I bought a house in a self-directed IRA. Then I sold one of my houses in my local area. Sold one house. It's one I bought in December of 2017. I had owned it for roughly a year and a half, and I made enough money back. I got my down payment back, and I made a profit that I then bought 4 houses from the Olson Group. All right. Then I did. So anyway, by the end of 2019, I may have missed one there. I was up to 11 houses. In 2020, I'll wrap this up. I got 14 houses in the year 2020. I bought another house in a self-directed IRA. What I did in the self-directed IRAs with both of them, I had Roth IRAs with stocks. I absolutely love stocks. But I realized along the real estate journey, as great as my stocks had done, because I averaged 18% from 2005 to 2018, 100% a year for 2019 and 2020, I realized that real estate will give me potentially more income, more wealth, etc., than stocks will. Real estate, I can touch, it's tangible, I like it, I can see it, I can feel it. And over time, it does appreciate. Most importantly, I get cash flow coming in. Stocks do not give me cash flow unless I have dividend stocks. I invested in gross stocks, so I did not invest for cash. So that's how I had the money in my Roth to put them in self-directed Roths, because then I bought 2 different houses, 2 different self-directed Roth IRAs, paid cash for both of them. Then I bought 9 houses utilizing seller financing. So that's another tactic I'd heard about, so I'm familiar with seller financing. Bought 9 houses using seller financing. Paid cash for one house, $18,000. And it had been rehabbed but not finished, and the guy rehabbing it ran out of money. It needed about $5,000 more worth of work, so it was about $24,500 all in on that house. And it was a nice house, freshly rehabbed. And then I found 2 houses on the MLS, and late in 2020, and I bought both of those houses. So I don't think I missed any. I might have missed 1 or 2, but basically that's a total of 25 houses. I did it. The 25th was bought in December of 2020. My first one was bought in January 2017. So just under 4 years, 3 years and 11 months to get 25 houses. The point of this is, if you missed the very beginning, I never made a lot of money at all in my job. The missus did start working after my boys were like 12 or 13. She worked part-time, and then she finally moved into a factory job that paid better. But we were just normal blue-collar people. And I went, as you heard me say, to 25 rentals in 4 years. If I can do it, so can all of you. All right? So can all of you. Let's see if this works. Deanna, I'm touching the screen and comments aren't coming up. Let's see. Let me try that. There we go. I got them to come up. Let's see what I can do here. Go back to the very beginning. Dave, I know you had a comment up there first. I forget what it was, but that comment's not showing up. All right, so type it in again. And I'm sorry about my hand being in the way. So Indiana, Gary, Indiana, triplex or quad. Larry, let me know, how many properties do you have right now? Because I do know if you self-manage, the triplex or quad is harder, from my perspective, it's harder to self-manage than a single family home. Me personally, this is just my opinion. I know a lot of people out there love multifamily. I think Dion, who's watching, owns a lot of duplexes. I personally like single family homes better. I know you will hear people say, oh, then you gotta get each separate insurance policy and so on and so on. It's, if you get 18 houses, that's 18 mortgages. If you buy an 18-unit apartment building, that's 1 mortgage. That's all good points. But I found from self-managing, having a triplex and having local single-family homes, my single-family homes I liked a lot better. It's just me personally. I found better quality tenants that wanted to stay a long time. I still have that first house I bought when I evicted the first tenant, the next family moved in with a husband, wife, and 2 kids. They stayed 1 year, and then they moved out because they got their own house. The next lady to move in is still there. She's been there, I think, 4 years now, and she plans to stay. We text, we stay in touch. I'm a long distance landlord. I'm 1,000 miles away from there, but I'm still self-managing that. But she plans to stay there another 4 years or so. All right. So if you're me personally, if I buy another multifamily, I will not self-manage it. I will use a property manager because there's added drama. The maintenance. In my triplex, as an example, I had a water leak, water lines in the wall, and a couple times, and they dripped into the basement apartment. So it was like 2 apartments are now damaged. So it was just more problems. I did sell that triplex to one of my tenants, Robbie. I don't think I told Robbie about this live video. I don't know if you hear Robbie, shout out. I don't know if you hear or not. But I did completely rehab that triplex, and he got a great building. I put new PEX water lines in there, so he shouldn't have to worry about leaks. And it's a nice building. So anyway, sorry about that. Let me see if I can get back over here. Touch that down there. All right. Deanne asked me, do I use lenders where I live or where I invest at? To answer that question, when I first started, I used a credit union that was local to me. And my first 3 mortgages, my 2 single-family homes, my triplex, I used that same credit union. When I started buying in Alabama and then up in Indiana, I had found, and how did I find him? I forget. I found a banker in New York State. I believe it's in Rochester, New York. And his name's Jerry Padilla. Check out my playlist on interviews with others. Jerry did an interview with me. He chit-chatted with me. And he can do mortgages in almost every state. If he can't do them himself, someone else in his company can. He's with Prime Lending. And his rates were not as good as the credit union, but it's a local credit union that gave me the best rates. But still, he gave me good rates. It was fair rates for an investor. So I've used him for a lot of investment properties. I used Jerry also for the house I'm living in Florida. When I got a personal mortgage, he jumped through hoops. He helped me get this house when I technically didn't qualify for it because it was out of my price range. He still was able to get me qualified for this house. He knew I could pay the mortgage, and I do pay the mortgage. I can't afford it, but my interest rate, I bought it in March of 2021. My interest rate is 3.125%. So if it's a residential mortgage, then he can give competitive rates. Okay. All right. So anyway, I recommend Jerry if you're looking to buy. If you need a lender out of state, and he's conventional. If you still are within your top 10 mortgages, Jerry can give you a mortgage almost anywhere in the country. All right. If you like me and you can't get a conventional mortgage, you have non-QM lenders. I am now using Kiavi. I have a video about Kiavi. I'm using Kiavi on one of my burr houses in Chicago. And I've also been in touch with Stephen Dow from Velocity Mortgage. I may use him for some other properties that I plan to do some cashback refinances. Because I got 3 houses in rehab, and one of them, it's in Indiana. I may combine it with the second one in Indiana that I have seller financing, and get one mortgage from Stephen Dow Velocity Mortgage. Maybe. We'll see. Rates are going up, so we shall see. All right, let's see what I got here. All right, that answered that. Yep, Long Distance Real Estate by David Green. That's the one. I got it up there. All right, Larry, you got 2 properties, 3 doors. Good for you. Larry, do you self-manage or do you have a property manager? All right, Jamil, if I pronounce your name right, can I talk about the different PMs you have used in Gary and how they compare? All right, and Dave, I see your question down there. I'll get right to that. Let me answer Jamil's questions. Property managers, I think you might have emailed me this question. I have used 2 different property managers in the Gary area. I've used 3 property managers in Birmingham. I'm on my 3rd right now. All right, with property managers, I'm not an expert, obviously, from Birmingham. I personally call Birmingham my failure. You may decide you want to invest in Birmingham. A lot of investors do. I did not devote the time to learning the market as well as I should have. I did not find the right team on the ground, the right boots on the ground. In Indiana, I went full force into Indiana. I had my first property manager there. It was a good person. I'm not going to name names. This person was a good person, but they were new at being a property manager, and I didn't have the patience. Basically, I didn't have the patience to be the guinea pig while they were learning and potentially costing me money. So, but I had started using the husband-wife team. That if any of you are here from my mastermind group, you know who I'm talking about. They are good people. They are good people. I've gotten to know them. I just got talked to one of the two today for an hour, going over a whole bunch of stuff. And my mastermind group, if any of you are here, I'm going to put something out about that conversation after I finish this. But with property managers, what I have found by using a total of 5 property managers so far, communication with all 5 in 2 different states, communication can be tough sometimes. Sometimes it's instantaneous, other times it's 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours. And then it's like texting and calling, and finally you get some response. I've had property managers that will pay rent on a certain day of the month. It might be the last day of the month. It might be the 3rd Wednesday of the month. It might be the 4th Tuesday, whatever. So if you're interviewing property managers, what I've learned from my experience is I want a property manager who also owns rental properties. All right. The reason I want that is because they, hopefully, besides managing my properties, they've done it for their own properties, and they've learned more about being a property manager. Because property managers can make you or break you. All right. Like in Birmingham, I know Birmingham can be a very good market. I have one house there now. I'm going to keep it for probably at least a year, but will I buy more there, or will I move completely out and just stick with Indiana or Chicago or some other place? I don't know. Hopefully that helped a little bit. So just talk to them, call them up if you're trying to find a property manager, interview them, come with a list of questions that you want to ask them. Ask them how long they've been doing the work. Ask them what their fee is, because I have property managers that charge me 8%. I've had ones that have charged me 10%. I know of ones that charge 11%. So it can vary. And if you're holding out 8% or 11%, that's 3% difference. So check those, see what they charge. See how they do it do they keep money in reserves? Give you an example. My current property manager in Alabama, they require $300 to be left in my account at all times. That way there's $300 to cover minor stuff. If it's something that will exceed $300, they have to contact me to get my approval. And then I have to upload the money up front to pay for them. In Indiana, as of yet, they're not holding money back for that kind of stuff. And if they find something that needs to be done, if it's emergency work, they do it and they let me know. If it's a big job like a rehab, they let me know periodically, hey, can you send us $2,500? Can you send us $500,000? Whatever it might be. Because if I'm doing a rehab, it might cost me $10,000, $15,000. All right, so if you find, that's another question for property managers when you're interviewing them. Ask them if you do work, do they manage it themselves, or do they hire a general contractor? Who manages the work that's being done? My team in Indiana, the husband in the group, he manages the work that's being done, and he's good. Both of them know construction a bit, so he's good. Hopefully that helped. So anyway, I'll move on to Dave regarding Gary, Indiana. How reliable are the tenants you have there? What kind of things do you look at when vetting them? What's my rental turnover and vacancy rate that you've experienced while investing in Gary? All right, so with Gary in particular, Millennial Mike and myself have made several videos about Gary. Gary has its challenges. It's a city, Google it, it's the most miserable city in the U.S. It's at one point was the homicide capital of the United States. It's a small city. It used to have pushing 200,000 people. Now it has about 80,000 people. Look at the numbers, 200,000 to 80,000. There's a lot of empty houses. There's houses that need to be torn down. There's areas that might look like a war zone, but there are areas now that are coming back. I'm an optimist. I look at the city and I see the potential, but I'm a realist also. I was a cop for 20 years. I know things that happen, I see the potential. I think in 20 years from now, Gary could be a decent city. Might not be the hustling, bustling new Miami or the new New York or whatever, but it could be a 100,000 plus people and growing. Hard Rock Casino did move in. Not saying if that's a good company to move into a new area or not, but it brings jobs. Amazon Distribution moved in. UPS moved in. The Gary Airport has a longer runway than the airport in Chicago. And they're expanding their runways at the airport also. They're adding an additional runway. That means they're optimistic about planes coming in and stuff. So with tenants, tenants that I have inherited primarily from my single family, my seller financing, and when I bought them from the turnkey company, most of them had tenants already. The tenants I inherited are the tenants who have given me problems. I myself have not had to evict a tenant up there in Indiana yet. I know in my group others have. I know from talking to my property manager today, both of my sons now have houses there, and my one son is going through an eviction, and my other son may have to get a tenant evicted here soon. My buddy Will has to have, I think the tenants moved out, but they were served an eviction notice. Others in my group were served, they had to serve eviction notice. My new property managers there, they do the vetting. I don't vet the tenants. They do the vetting. When I was talking to them today, I have one house that was just rehabbed in Gary. It's basically done, and they've already been showing it and got a couple applications in. And on the phone, she told me one was disqualified because their credit score was too low. Her criteria is, and she explained this to me, is lower. Her criteria is about 570 on a credit score. Me, I was requiring, like, when I self-managed, I forget, 625, 650. I was stricter. She is a lower number because the quality of applicants, if they have a higher credit score, they're probably going to buy a house. They're not going to rent. They're going to, because properties are cheaper there. They'll just buy. So, but she had an applicant who was like around 500. So that was too low for her. All right. So let me see what else that was. Hopefully that answered. So like I said, I don't vet them. My property managers vet them. They look at credit score, they look at criminal history, look at, convictions. Do they have felony convictions? How long were they at? Another comment about that tenant that's being disqualified. My property manager said they've only been at their last place for 2 years. They are looking for a longer period they've lived at their last rental. Okay, they don't want just somebody who's jumping around a lot, because the goal is to get long-term tenants. But one thing I meant to say, I don't think I said it yet, is when I first started buying houses in Gary, rents were 600, 700, 750, 800. Now rents are 950, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, maybe 1,400, thereabouts for the same basic houses. Yes, we were rehabbing some when you get top rent then. But I have a little 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house there that my tenant moved out, and we got to rehab that. Not rehab per se, clean it up, paint it and whatnot. Rent was $650. That was an inherited tenant. Rent was $650. They are estimating when it's time to rent it, rent should be probably $950. That's a $300 increase. That's like that's a 50% increase almost. I positive cash flow with $650 rent because that house was like, I think when I bought it, $25,000, $27,000, something like that. It was cheap. All right. So anyway, houses are not that cheap any longer in that area. They're getting more expensive. All right. Thank you, Evan. It's my first live stream, so I'm still learning. All right. So Larry, you self-manage one. You got a manager for the duplex, and it's actually a student rental. Cool. I have never had a student rental. I've thought about trying to get student rentals. I know Chad Carson. He primarily owns student rentals in the Clemson, South Carolina area. And I know Chad made a video one time. He has a YouTube channel, Coach Carson. He made a video one time that when COVID hit, that impacted him because colleges shut down and students went home. And then it's not something you plan for. You don't plan that the college is going to shut down and students will go home. All right. You're welcome, Dave. I'm glad it helped. Evan, thank you. Evan, you got any questions or anything? You were on my channel one time. So got any questions? All right. Do any of you, the rest of you here, there's 4 of you here right now. I think we topped out at 7. Now there's 5 of you. If you got any questions, ask away. All right, I think that's it for right now. So anyway, um, so with investing, me personally, real estate's the way to go. I don't know if any of you, and until I get another question, I'll be quick here. I don't know if any of you are accredited. I was telling the missus today, I really love, and you may disagree with this. I really love investing in oil and mineral rights. It is totally passive. With my rental properties, I was on the phone for an hour with the property manager. I email, I text. I have to wonder, what's my tenant doing now? Am I going to get all my rent in? Or I checked their website, they use Buildium. I checked that and I see repairs that were made, and I was like, oh, that's $175 that's spent. That'll be $175 less than I'm getting, or something like that. So, but with oil drilling and mineral rights, there's risk. There's always a risk with every investment. But when I start getting the money coming in, no tenants, no termites, no toilets, et cetera, et cetera. It's nice. I saw that question, Jamil. Let me remind myself what you just said there. Let me get them to come back. All right, where was it? W-2 tax benefits with oil investing. Sure. I love that because if you have there's two types of oil investing: a working investment with a oil drilling company, or mineral rights acreage. Mineral rights acreage I buy with Eckerd Land and Acquisition. They basically only buy land in Oklahoma. Oil drilling, my investment, they lease property in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming, I believe. All right. With the working interest, the oil drilling, that has great tax benefits. I get a K1 in, and I'll give you one example of real numbers. My very first investment with them was in December of 2020, and I invested $25,000 into oil drilling. When I got my K1 in March of 2021, my write-off, because they write off in tangible and intangible cost, up to nearly 100% of your investment over several years. But that very first year, my write-off was 80, 81, 82% of my investment. And so on a $25,000 investment, I got to write off $20,501. That came on my tax return. It's written off, whatever you call that. It's written off. My income dropped by $20,501. So when you calculate the return from oil, if it's giving me a 20% return or a 30% return or a 40% return, I don't know how to calculate it, but how do I figure in that tax savings? Because that's a big tax savings. I invested more money into the oil in 2021. I got my K1 for this year, and my tax return isn't done yet, but I think my oil drilling investment alone is going to negate any bill I might have to pay and probably give me a return back. And I haven't had a return in a long time. Okay, so oil drilling does do that. Mineral rights acreage is a little bit different. It's not a working interest, and with the revenue you get in, 15% of that revenue gets written off. So if you get in $100, $15 gets written off, so it's like $85 is taxable. And I can't remember now if I think it's normal income tax or capital. It's not capital gains. I can't tell you for sure exactly how they tax it because it's not on my tax return yet. Last year, tax return, I only had mineral rights in my self-directed IRA, not in my own holdings in an LLC. So, and like I said, my tax return for 2021 is not done yet. So, anyway. All right, so hopefully that helped you, Jamil. All right, let's see. Hey, Rob, welcome here. So you're in Washington State, Austin. You're a tax preparer. Rob, are you familiar with investing in like oil investing or mineral rights investing? If you are, let me know. All right, George, you asked, what is the max price you would pay for a 3-1 in Gary? All right, prices are going up right now. Let me think real quick. I have a stricter bar, let's say, than say other folks may have. The most I have paid ever in Gary, Indiana, I'm trying to think here. I think the most I ever paid was $69,000. Okay, when I paid it, that was from the turnkey operator. That's the most I ever paid. Right now, I would not want to pay over 60-ish, 60, 65. All right. I think I talked in a video just the other day about the house that I bought in March, I believe it was, of this year. It's a couple months ago. I saw it on the MLS for 39. Gotcha, Rob. For 39,000 or 39,900. I put an offer in with an escalation clause, and that I will go $500 over the next top offer. And my final price was like 45,000 or 45,500. And that was just a couple months ago. That was on a 3-1. My property manager just told me tonight that that house, they're going to market it. They are marketing it. That's when they got 2 applicants already. They're marketing it for $1,300. So you can do the numbers. If I spent $45,000 to buy it, my rehab all in is going to be somewhere around $15,000. I haven't got the final bill in yet. Could be plus or minus. Let's say $60,000, $61,000, $62,000 all in, rent $1,300. In that city, just like in every other city, rents vary depending on the neighborhood and the street. So if you're not familiar with Gary, find good boots on the ground, because there are still some rough spots in Gary, just like there are in many cities around the country. And if you buy on the wrong street, my house here might be renting for $1,300. Your house over there might rent for $700, and there might be gunshots, and you're tending to stay 3 months and move on, and so on and so on. So you always got to have good boots on the ground, no matter where you invest at. If you self-manage yourself, if you manage your own properties, have good boots and have good contractors and have a good team. But you always got to have, especially investing afar, you got to have good boots. I can't stress, you got to get good property managers, you got to have good contractors. You got to do the due diligence. All right. I could tell you the names of who I use up there, but at the same time, they're overworked already. Okay. So I don't want to stress them out either. But if they heard this, they're probably going to say, send anyone their way. So email me if you're interested. All right. All right. All right, Rob. So you've heard me talk about the Motley Fool. When I was investing in stocks, I 100% used the Motley Fool. 100% use them. I would look at other sites at times. I'd look at CNBC. I'd look at Market Watch. I know the Motley Fool, I found them in 1999. Back in 1999 to 2022, there's always folks that will criticize the Motley Fool. The Motley Fool has a free side to them. I used to be a contractor for them. Okay, I'm no longer a contractor. We agreed to separate. If I am on there, I would be XMF Mazske. All right, I was CMF Mazske. Now I'm XMF Mazske. But I haven't, since I've left the company, I haven't posted on the site at all. If you do find my post, CMF Mazske, that's me. So anyway, with them, they have a free side and they have services. Their cheapest service is their flagship service called Stock Advisor. It's $199 a year, but you can Google coupons and get 50% off, $99 a year. And if all you do is just read their monthly report, that's what I did when I started in 2005. I found the site in 1999. 2005, I gave in and subscribed to Stock Advisor, and I studied their reports. I love stocks. I still love stocks, but I like real estate better. All right. So anyway, moving on. Let me see what else I got coming up here. All right. It's got to be a better way than me doing this, how I'm touching it. Larry, where in Gary do you recommend? Larry, I have properties all over that city. I know the street you're talking about, Ridge Road. I don't have any properties on that road. I don't know the city well enough to tell you. I know. I can say this: there are streets, the presidents' names. There are presidents' names: Woodrow, and other presidents: Taft, Polk. You might have one block that's nicely rehabbed houses, and the other end of the block is a rough area. So you can't say the whole street's good. You can't say the whole street's bad. And that's how Gary is. Gary is in the process of rejuvenating itself, but it's not going to happen overnight. It is a long road to go. And when I say a long road, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. It's going to take a while. Tom Olson, the guy that owns the Olson Group, told me once that he has flipped over 2,000 houses in the city. And he said, and it's never ending. There's a lot more houses to go. I have bought 19 or 20 houses up there in that general area. And every single house I've owned, I've had to either do work myself, pay to do work myself, or I bought it after it had been rehabbed. A lot of houses were run down. If you buy a house off the MLS, unless another investor is flipping it, odds are, like the one I just bought, $45,000, $15,000 to rehab it. It needs work. There's a guy up there selling properties, and that's who I got for seller financing. All of his properties need work. He was just a bad landlord. He put Band-Aids on his stuff. He didn't fix it. And they're run down, they're beat up, and he had bad quality tenants in there. So we're in the process of getting rid of tenants and getting better quality tenants in there. Okay. So anyway. All right, Jamil, my mastermind group. A friend of mine is helicopter pilot Caleb. I don't know if Caleb's here or not. I can't see who exactly is here if they don't comment. Him and I, it might have been his idea, or it might have been my idea. I can't remember. We were chit-chat. And I had some buddies I was helping to invest, and he had some buddies he was helping to invest. And with our mastermind group, the way we do it, we're informal. We're laid back. We're informal. We don't charge anything. And we are on WhatsApp. We use that as our main way of communication. All right. And you get a lot of me on there just babbling about stuff. But you'll get some good posts on there. Like it's the first of the month. We were posting about our net worth updates because different members there have stocks. They have mutual funds. They're in the military. Some of them, they have TSPs. They have rental properties. You have me with rental properties, almost no stocks. I got oil, I got mineral rights, and so on and so on. So yes, I do say if you can get a good mastermind group, yes, it is worth it. I know mastermind groups will charge, and I've seen some advertised for big bucks, $5,000, $10,000. That's not my style. I don't have deep pockets. And I would not pay that much money. I'm not saying it's bad to if you got the money. I'm not saying, maybe it's okay for you. Jamil, I think you've emailed me before. Email me again about the mastermind group. Let me know some information about yourself. All right. And we'll go from there. All right. There's got to be a better way of me touching the screen. Yes, Dividend Dave, you said, what do you think attracts people to rent in Gary? Is it mainly the low cost and proximity to Chicago? Yes and yes. I think what's happening is there are tenants from Chicago that are tired of it. They're tired of the politics, the crime, whatever it is. And they might be renting a one-bedroom studio apartment for $1,500. And they can move to Gary and get a single family home with a front yard and a backyard and maybe a garage and maybe a basement for $1,100, $1,200. And it's depends on where they're at in Gary, or around Gary even. Depends on where they work at in Chicago, about 45 minutes, an hour, depends on where they're going, And I've driven from Chicago to Gary. I know on that, whatever that highway is, I forget the number now. But it wasn't a bad drive. The traffic, I grew up in Maryland as a teenager. I drove around, I worked landscaping down towards Baltimore. And traffic, when I was 16 years old, driving in bumper traffic, I said, I gotta get out of here. Traffic is too much. Chicago is a lot of traffic. Gary is a smaller city. So I did not drive during rush hour, I don't think. So, but it's close to Chicago, it's cheaper than Chicago. They get better quality homes, single family homes, and so on. And what was the second part to that question? Yes, because I think my property managers right now, I don't think this, I know this, they're getting a reputation. They are providing good quality rentals, because the majority of rentals, if I have a house that is kind of rough and my tenant leaves, they go in and they will do up a scope of work and tell me everything it needs. And when they tell me it needs something, we get it done. One of my houses, my apartment manager reminded me of tonight, that I bought from the gentleman that I got seller financing. When I didn't look at it. I've only been in one of my houses up there. So the other 19 or so I've never seen in person. All right, but when I was looking to buy those 9 houses from that gentleman, one of the houses, they went in and did inspection and told me what they needed. And one house was missing a handrail down to the basement, the steps. And that was a condition for me to buy it. They had to put that handrail on there because you got to have a handrail. But that gives you an example of the previous owner did not fix stuff like that. And they're not the only owner that would do that with properties. As a landlord, I have LLCs, I have trust, I have umbrella insurance, but I strive to be the best landlord that I can be. I'm not managing them, but I tell my property managers I want good tenants, and I will take care of my houses. I won't spend money frivolously. I'll give you an example. A tenant asked my property manager, could they get a thermostat on a bedroom? They were told yes if you pay for it, because that's not a need, that's a want. And I've gotten other stuff like that. Tenants have asked me for silly stuff, and no, I'm not going to pay for that. I did have a house that was getting pretty good rent. I bought off the MLS, and the tenant they were a single female, and they asked could they get a motion sensor security light on the back of the house, or back by the garage, I think, because it was dark when they came in from work. And I said, sure, of course, I will provide that. I will pay for that. And paying the electrician had to run the cables for it, so it was like whatever it cost, I paid for it. All right, so you got to have, if you're going to be a property owner, be a good landlord. All right, take care of your properties, because if you take care of your properties, it doesn't matter if you use a property manager or self-manage. If you take care of your properties, you can eliminate most potential lawsuits from ever happening. All right, because they won't have anything to sue you about because you take care of it. But with that being said, all it takes is one person out there who just thinks you're the rich landlord, and they think you have deep pockets, so they might want to go after you. So yes, have umbrella insurance, but at some point, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a financial advisor. At some point, look at putting your properties in LLCs. I did it when I had approximately 10 rental properties. I put them in LLCs at that time. I procrastinated, and I wanted to do it sooner, but money was tight because you got to pay lawyers. All right, I did have one of my attorneys on my channel also. I had Megan from Royal Legal Solutions. So if you look at my playlist interviews with others, you'll find Megan. She talks about more into detail. She's a lawyer about how they do things, how your properties go into trust, how they go into child series LLCs and parent LLCs, and how that can legally protect a person. All right, and she did say, I think in that video, that umbrella insurance is good. Your basic homeowner insurance is good. You need that. That's your first level, basic insurance, umbrella insurance, and then you get the legal protection above it. So, because as an attorney, as a landlord, I'll say this for all of you out there: if you invest in real estate, it's just a matter of time, and you will become wealthy. All right, you will. Because as you get more houses, your tenants help you pay the mortgage down. It's addicting. You get more houses, you will become wealthy. And you don't want to be one of these people out there, especially if you have a YouTube channel. You don't want to be out there talking about having this and having that, or driving around in your Maserati or your Tesla and become a target for some person that's looking for an easy win. And they find out you own rental property. They don't know you, but they might want to come after you. All right, so be careful. All right, no matter what you do, be careful. All right, thanks, Jamil. I appreciate that, and look forward to hearing from you. All right, make sure I didn't miss anything. We're up to 49 minutes right now. So are there any other questions? Let me see if I missed anything. Sounds good, Dave. I just saw your comment about doing tax returns and doing a return for a woman who discovered oil in her property and was getting about $1 million a year in royalties. That's pretty good. I don't get $1 million a year in royalties yet. All right, I don't know if I ever will. I know you're not a spammer, Dave. But I do know, I was telling a buddy of mine, his mom invests in oil, and sorry about my hand blocking it. And with the oil drilling, hey Tyler, glad you're watching. Yeah, I remember you. So thanks for watching. All right, one thing with the oil investment, the company is King Operating Company. I have another interview with Tom Gray. He's on my channel. Talk about it. I tell you something like Tom talks about how to get great returns. It's King Operating Corporation, and my buddy, his mom has an investment, and he asked, we're talking about returns, and I said something about a 4x return in 3 years to 5 years, and he said that would be really nice to get a 4x return, and I said yeah, but they also talk about a 10x return, and that would be even nicer, and they have mentioned a 20x return. So do the math. I'll make it easy. If you put $100,000 in, which you can start with $25,000, but if you put $100,000 in, you get a 4x return, that's $400,000. 10x return, that's $1 million. 20x return, that's $2 million on $100,000 over 3 to 5 years. What they do is they acquire, they lease the land, they start drilling wells. They might buy lease land already has vintage wells on it, so there's already oil being produced or natural gas, so there's revenue coming in. And then they drill new wells, and as they drill several wells, they will then divest, sell off a portion. They own something like 12,000 acres, I think, something like that, in 5 or 6 different states. And next year they plan to sell a section of it, and their goal when they sell that section is to return all investors' money. So however much money we put in, we'll get our money back, and we've already been getting monthly royalties. So we'll get all our money back, get our preferred return. It depends on when you got in on the investment, what your preferred return will be. And I don't know what if someone joins up right now in the fund, I don't know what they're getting, so I'm not going to say. But you get your preferred return, and then whatever money is left over from that sale, depends on how much they get, they'll divvy it up amongst all the investors, and you get your pro rata share. And that's just one section out of 5 potential sections. So if we can get all our money back plus more next year, plus we got the monthly returns, and then they have another 4 or 5 sections that they're still drilling wells and pumping oil and natural gas and selling them, that could be some big bucks. It could be a 10x return. It could be a 20x return. 20x might be too optimistic. 10x might be optimistic, but I'd be happy with a 4x. So anyway. All right, so anyway. Hey, Tyler, get other folks in the PD to watch. I used to talk to folks in the PD about watching my channel, about investing, and nobody wanted to invest. And like I used to tell them, I used to talk about stocks when I was in the PD. And first time I talked about real estate, people were like, "You're crazy." Because as a cop, we see the worst of the worst in properties, because that's where you get the calls to. It's rental property that's beat up, there's cockroaches, there's rats. And I used to think too, what am I getting myself into buying rental property? Because I go into some of these scary places, and I don't want to be the owner of these places. So I'm not. I buy quality homes. So Tyler, try to get other folks to watch. Thank you, George. Yes, Larry. Maryland in the house. DC traffic is hard. I agree 100%. Being 16 years old, driving on bumper-to-bumper traffic, it wasn't fun. I grew up north of Baltimore City, up near Pennsylvania, in the countryside. That countryside is now mansions, and it's a lot more expensive than it used to be. But a lot of my classmates are living up in Pennsylvania and commuting down to Maryland because it's a little bit cheaper in Pennsylvania. Maryland is expensive. All right, so anyway, any last minute questions? Anything else you want me to talk about real quick? We're at 54 minutes. It is 7:52. One thing I do every night, and those of you who know me, if you worked with me in the PD, you know I took my lunch break and I worked out in the fitness room almost every single day that I could. Now that I'm here in Florida, I have a swimming pool. I swim every single day, mostly, and I walk almost every single evening except when it's raining, and I may walk earlier in the day, and so it's not dark out yet. We walk a lot of times after dark, but we're probably going to go out for a walk here soon. So, any last minute comments? Any last minute questions? Any last minute topics you'd like me to talk about? I'll leave it up to you. I can keep going or I can stop. What do you think? And what do you think? Give me, even if you don't have any more questions, do you want me to keep doing these periodic live streams? Once a week, maybe too much. Maybe once every 2 weeks, once a month. What do you think? Any feedback? You know, you can put a comment or shoot me an email. Let me know what you think. How often? How often do you want me to do a live stream? And depending on your age and whatnot, because there's only 7 of you watching right now. If you're younger and you're tired of your career, think about the military. I don't know if you can see that cup right there. That's the United States Coast Guard Stratton Wimsel 752. We can't afford not to. It's a picture of it in there. So anyway, one of my sons gave that to me. So they're both officers in the Coast Guard. I was enlisted in the Navy, and I told my boys growing up, Mom and Dad are poor, we can't afford to pay your college, and you guys got to do the best you can do in everything you do to get a free ride to college. And they both attended the United States Coast Guard Academy, as did Pilot Caleb. And I don't know if they're here or not, but others in my mastermind group attended the Naval Academy or OCS, and so on and so on and so on. So anyway, what do you think? Continue the live stream. How often? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, semi-annually, annually? So, all right. And on my YouTube channel, I usually make 1 video a day. You see, I do very little editing. Do I keep that up? Most of the feedback I get, people say, yeah, keep it up. So I probably will. I told somebody recently that I can see myself possibly slowing down just a bit. I am getting older, and I am moving from lean financial independence into normal financial independence. And as I progress into those realms or those ranks, I can see myself doing other stuff. I can see myself going out on boats and kayaking and getting a bike and riding a bike and traveling more. You know, I got some travel lined up. If you haven't watched my videos on travel hacking using credit cards, I encourage you to check them out, because traveling is great. Free travel is all the better. Okay. All right. So I'm not really getting anything else. Am I? There I am. Yes, I'm sorry. They weren't popping up for me. Sounds good. Land for sale in Virginia. When I was 20 years old, I bought a house in Virginia. I was in the Navy at the time. And I also bought 5.5 acres in Southwest Virginia. I bought 5.5 acres in Wythe County, Virginia. And I bought my house in Smith County, Virginia. They're Southern Virginia in the western side of the state, all the way down. Go down I-81, all the way down near North Carolina, Kentucky, that general area. George, what are my favorite YouTube channels? Ones I've watched over the last couple of years. I've watched a lot of Michael Zuber's channel, but I don't watch as much anymore. He releases like 8 videos a day, and I can't keep up. Dion Talks, I like his videos. He makes 2 videos a week. Millennial Mike, I watch every video he releases. He's a police officer, like I am, except I'm retired. So his schedule is erratic, and he doesn't have a regular schedule of how he makes videos, but I watch his. Coach Carson, that book right there, Retire Early with Real Estate, that's a good book. All right. He says his mentor was John Shaw. It's that book up there, Building Wealth One House at a Time. 2 great books. So Coach Carson, he has a YouTube channel. He's interviewed John Shaw on his channel. All right, so I like Coach Carson. So Coach Carson, Millennial Mike, Dion Talks, Michael Zuber, One Rental at a Time. Those are the main real estate channels I would watch. I watch other YouTube channels on kayaking. I love the Orioles. So Masson Sports has a YouTube channel. MLB TV they got videos they put out. So I watch a lot of baseball stuff too. All right, so let me get back here. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. 1 a week is good. Thank you. Yep, it did go good. We're about an hour right now. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Jamil. Drone footage of my real estate. How far away can you provide drone footage? All right, because I know the area you're in, and I'm investing primarily up in Indiana and Illinois right now. So it might be a little far for you to go with your drone. I live in Florida, and I don't think I'm not going to buy a rental property here yet. But the day I think is coming. I like diversity. I like diversity in people. I like diversity in my investments. That's just me. I'm not telling anyone else to be as diverse as I am. Some people like Michael Zuber say he sticks to his own channel. He's 100% real estate. I like branching out. I'm not doing it because I'm tired of real estate, but I love the oil drilling. I love the mineral rights. I have a little investment in crypto. I've looked at investing in wine, and I've looked at investing in art. I just haven't done it yet. So I like that. All right. All right, Adam. I'm glad you're a blue collar guy. Yep, me, Millennial Mike, and Dion. We're all blue collar, but we're all trying to. Well, I'm blue collar for life, but we're trying to become a wealthy blue collar type person. Sounds good. I love traveling too. And if you don't travel for free, watch my videos on credit cards and how to use them to get points. Lieutenant Bill, he's been on my channel several times, and Helicopter Pilot Caleb, they both use credit cards. I am traveling outside the United States. There's only 7 over here right now, but I am traveling to the country of Panama later this month. Free round trip airplane tickets, free Airbnb for 4 days, for 2 free nights in a Hilton resort, and 1 free night in like a Hampton. I'll probably get a free rental car, possibly. I may not use my points for that, but I could. I'm going out to California later in the summer. 2 free round trip tickets from South Florida to California. We're staying 2 nights at the Coronado Island Curio Collection under Hilton. It's the, what's the actual name of the place? They charge like cheapest room $997 a night. And I'm getting 2 rooms for free. That's like $2,000. So I'm getting 2 rooms for free. And then I'll probably stay in a hotel the rest of the time there. And I got enough points through one of my cards that I should be able to stay another 5 days in free hotels. So, and I don't know what I did, but comments don't pop up anymore. They were popping up when they appeared. Now they don't pop up. So anyway, hey Tyler, real quick, how many years you been at the PD now? You were hired, I think, before I retired. You might have been in reserve for a while too, and I retired April of 2018, so it's been a little bit over 4 years. Vanguard, thoughts on Oh, where are you working at right now? Vanguard, the missus had a 401k with Vanguard. Vanguard is known to be the low-cost index fund investing. I've told my friends, I've set up my channel before, if you have any time at all to devote to investing, if you don't have time, index funds are great. You get what the market gets. Stocks average somewhere 7 to 9% a year for a long time period. All right, got you on that, Tyler. Congratulations. Hopefully it was a pay raise for you, because as you know, that PD didn't pay that much. So then, but with Vanguard, if you have the time to learn about all the various funds in Vanguard, I encourage you to look at individual stocks. Individual stocks are the Motley Fool's motto. Their goal is to beat the market, and not just beat it, crush the market. If the market's 7, 8, 9%, and I averaged 18%, and I give 100% of my credit to the Motley Fool, 100% of my credit. And instead of averaging 7, 8, 9%, I average 18%. That's a lot better. And the Motley Fool, they did it for me. They can do it for any of you. That's a pretty good pay raise. That was worth leaving for. Do they have if it's private, they probably don't have a pension. A pension can be worth sticking it out somewhere, but then again, maybe not. Because especially being a cop. anytime you go to work as a cop, it may be your last day going to work. You just never know. So, but getting a pension, I talked about it in a recent video, getting a pension, that's kind of like the foundation to my financial independence is I have that base pension. That pension is not a lot. It's less than the mortgage on my house. But I have a pension and I can build on that with my various rentals and oil and mineral rights and that sort of thing. So anyway, it's good. All right, so cool. I do thank y'all for watching. Oh yeah. Last question, should you move your VRS money into Vanguard? First question to you, are you vested with VRS? All right, because if you are vested, you can get a pension when you turn 50. If you trust the system will still be there. If you don't trust the system will still be there, and I can't answer that question for you or not, because VRS is financially sound as far as I know, but I'm not an expert on it. I've told people before, I want to invest because I can't guarantee my pension will be here for the rest of my life. I just don't know. Virginia may crash. Their economy may crash. I don't know. So I want to have enough money coming in from something else in case that pension does die. If the pension never disappears, that's fine. That's fine. All right. So, all right. So I can't answer that. I don't know if I trust the system or not. But if you take that money, it's probably a small amount because I don't know how many years you were there. But if I had cashed out at 18 years, I wouldn't have gotten that much money from the system. But if you take that money, if you keep it in there, you're guaranteed something. You can pull up the VRS site, do an estimate on your benefit, plug in that you no longer work there, and it will tell you what your pension will be when you turn 50. And it's probably not very much at all. It might be $150 a month, $200 a month, $250 a month. It probably won't be much at all, but it's something. And if you plan, got you on that, 20K. Tyler, you know me. My email is always in the description of my videos. I don't give personal advice on my channel, but if you want to shoot me an email, it's my channel, mazkefinance@gmail.com. If I had 20K right now, knowing what I know, I'd probably buy a single rental house. But there are people out there that would disagree with me. They would say, put it into the index fund first, put it into stocks first. The Motley Fool would say, buy individual stocks with that 20 grand. I like real estate. If you're not accredited, you can't get into oil and you can't get into mineral rights, but you can buy a rental house. So, cool, Tyler. Tyler, go back and watch all my videos. But I know I got 200 and some videos, I think pushing 300. But if you find I think I have a playlist on credit cards or travel hacking. If you watch them, you can find out cards that Bill, myself, or Caleb that we listed that we like and we use that help us to travel for free, sleep for free, free lodging, rent cars for free, eat for free perhaps. So that's good. If you watch my interviews, I babble a lot on my individual videos. If you watch my interviews, everyone has a story to share. Millennial Mike started from nothing, doesn't know his father, and now has 8 rentals. Cowboy, when he was 12 or 14, his mom was murdered and his dad was an alcoholic. He now has 4 or 5 rentals. He's a cop also up in the Bronx. Tom Gray talks about oil investing. My attorney talks, Megan's one of I've got 3 or 4 attorneys. She's one of them that talks about trust and LLCs. And there's a variety of other videos. I don't have thumbnails per se for the most part. But if you scroll down, look at what the topic is and let me know what you're interested in. I have topics on individual stocks. I don't talk too much about index fund investing, but probably somewhere in there I've mentioned them. But with $20,000, I mentioned earlier, 1999, I had approximately $16,000. After the dot-com crash, it dropped to $8,000. When I retired from that police department in 2018, my net worth was probably, let me think. I'm guessing here, 500, 600,000, 700,000, maybe when I retired. That was 5 years ago. I'm now pushing working towards getting there towards 2 million for my net worth. Real estate is what did it. Real estate is what did it. All right. So I know you. I don't know exactly who's watching right now, but if I was starting over, I would jump full force into real estate. That's what I would do. But I'd be cautious because right now the market is changing, and this is getting long, so I'm not going to carry. I may do this in a future video tomorrow. The market is changing. It has been a buyer's market for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm sorry, it's been a seller's market for the last 2 or 3 years. Prices are going up. It's slowly changing to potentially a buyer's market and an investor's market, not necessarily a home buyer's market for an individual family home, but as investors. And if we find the market we want to invest in, George, you've had trouble finding a house in the Gary area. Keep digging around. They will come. I found that house for $39,900 back a couple of months ago. As soon as I looked at the pictures, I was like, I got to jump on this. I contacted my real estate agent. I contacted my property manager. I put them both into touch with each other, and they both tag teamed it, went together to look at this house, and they said it's good. It needs work, but the bones are good, hardwood floors, windows are good, roof is good. So, but it needs a lot of other work. It needs plumbing, it needs electrical, it needs basement work, painting, etc., etc., etc. So that was a couple months ago. The deals, they're out there. They're hard to find, but they're out there. They should be getting a little easier, because what's going to happen is the prices, sellers were inflating prices, and they're getting cut. The prices are getting cut a little bit right now. And sellers will start getting desperate. If they don't get an offer, they'll start getting desperate. And if you come in and you give an offer, then you might get it. And don't be scared to make lowball offers. All right? Because that's how you make great deals. All right? So I think we're out of comments. So anyway, let me see here. This is all new to me. I don't know what that's going to do. Oh, that does that. You probably don't see that. Let me get rid of that. What's this one do? Oh, sorry about that. Let me flip that back. Oops, let me flip that back. Sorry about that. All right. Thanks, Dion. I appreciate that. Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate that. Yep, 109. That's my number. I'll keep on going. All right, I am going to sign out of this. It's time to go for a walk. Dusk is about here. It's hot in this room. I got the fan on, but I'm heating up, sweating a little bit, I think. I'm going to go out for a walk. And I'm losing weight, too. I've been exercising a lot, so I've lost about 3 pounds. And I'm not overweight, but I'm trying to get fit and trim just a bit. I want to get in better shape as I get older. So thanks for watching. I'm going to figure out how to sign out. This video should go up on my channel, too. So if anyone, Tyler, share it around your new place of employment. Let them know to watch my channel. So thanks. I appreciate it. You have a great evening. As I always say, stay safe in all you do. Keep loving life. Try to help others when you can. And do start investing. All right, Mazske is signing out.